Oh, I think we should start the presentation. I believe we are running a little bit late. So, Mark, can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. So, if Roger, you are there too, I'll start the presentation. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the technical overview on NetBackup 7.7. I appreciate everybody joining. I know that it was decided on the last moment, so I appreciate that everybody taking their time and joining for this presentation. My name is Girish, and I'm the technical specialist at Tech Data looking after the Veritas solution. So I'll be carrying out the presentation today. So the agenda for today is we'll keep it nice and simple. I'll start with explaining what are the different components which are involved in the installation of NetBackup, or when you install a NetBackup, what are the different components you have to use when talking to the customers. Then we'll talk about how a NetBackup appliance can fit into both existing as well as a new environment and discuss some of the capabilities of it. And then I will also share some of the important features which make NetBackup really unique and how you can use that to your advantage when you're dealing or talking to the customer to give them the backup and restore solution. In the end, I will also show you how as a user you can interact with the management console of NetBackup, and I have a NetBackup Appliance 5230 here, and how you can interact with that too by using different options. So let's start with the component and architecture topic. Now, NetBackup architecture is built upon scalability. It allows enterprise client to build a data protection solution with power, scalability, and flexibility to meet the demanding workloads of today's data center. Now, if you can see on the right hand side of your screen, this is an example of a three-tier installation, starting from bottom to top, which includes the client, the media, and the master server, which we'll discuss in detail in the coming slides. Now, we want to make sure that no environment is too big or too small for NetBackup to handle, not to forget the heterogeneous environment. So if you have machines which are running on Linux, Unix, or Windows platform, you can use the NetBackup to do the backup and restore for that one. You can do the backup on disk, tape, or cloud resources with features such as deduplication and replication, which are included with the NetBackup software. Now, in the deployment of the NetBackup software, master server is at the top of the hierarchy. The catalogs are kept at the master server level. This is the place where you do all the configuration as well as scheduling of the clients. So if there is a request for the client to do the restore, this is also done at the master server level too. This is the brain behind the whole process. So all the scheduling, configuration, and all the control is done at the master server level too. Now, when you install the NetBackup software, the administration console is automatically installed on the master server, but if you want, you can also install the remote client to manage the master server remotely too. Day-to-day monitoring as well as reporting is done at the master server level. Now, I want to point out some of the important processes and daemons which run on the master server. For example, BPRD. Now, this is the process which is responsible for carrying out the automatic backups, and in case there is a request from the client, this is all controlled by the BPRD. Now, this process should be running on the master server at all the time to carry out any backup and the restore process. NBPM is the process which is responsible for creating the policy and running them at specific time, which is scheduled in the policy. So all the policy and the schedule creation is done at the NBPAM level. In case the policy is updated, the NBPAM is also informed, and all the clients and objects which are in that policies are also updated too. BPJobD is responsible for the job monitoring. NBGM, which is the job manager, takes the information from NBPAM, and once the process is finished, it informs NBPM that the job has been completed. BPDBM is the daemon which is responsible for the internal database as well as the catalog. Now this should be running on the master server during to perform any operation. You should have the BPDBM running on the master server. NBRD and NBBEM is responsible for resource broker as well as the media manager, and NB proxy is the process which is responsible for retrieving the storage lifecycle policy, the client, so that it can give input to the OffCenter, which is the reporting tool within NetBackup. Now, second line in the deployment of the NetBackup architecture is the media server. This is the workhorse and is responsible for reading and writing to and from the storage. Now, NetBackup fiber transport is a method of data transfer. NetBackup uses fiber channel to move the data over SAN rather than TCP IP over the LAN. Now, we can have multiple media server in the environment for the sake of scalability as well as load balancing, and these media server can be connected to different storage devices such as disk, tape, or you can move the data even to the cloud resources too. These are some of the important daemons which runs on the media server. For example, BPBRM is responsible for communication from the master server to move the data over the client resources. BPDM and BPDM is responsible for moving the data to tape and disk respectively. BPCD is responsible for communication between to and from the master server and the client resources, and NBFT SRV and NBFDR64 is responsible for the fiber transport services. Last on the list of the NetBackup architectures are the client. Now these are the machines which we are trying to protect, and as I mentioned, these can be a Linux, Unix, or a Windows machine that you're trying to protect, and you have your application and your database on that one. We just need a single installation of the NetBackup to install the client. With single installation of the client, all the features such as agent for application and database, bare metal recovery, as well as deduplication feature, everything is installed within with one installation. We don't need to do any separate installation, and all the information on the client is controlled by the master server. I also want to point out that not in all the cases we need to install the client. For example, if you're trying to protect a VMware guest on a VMware machine, we don't need to install the client in all the cases, so it will depend upon different scenarios. I just wanted to point out that too. So this is the third in line. So clients are the machine which we are trying to protect. And just quickly, these are some of the daemons which runs on the client side, such as BPCD, VNETD, which is responsible for firewall communication, BPBKAR responsible for backup and archive client, TAR is for the restore services, and NBFL client is for the SAN client. So this is an example of NetBackup medium environment. So if you're talking to a customer and when you're trying to create a backup infrastructure, now if the environment is not that too big, you have the option of installing both the master and the media server on a single machine. So from one single machine, it will be holding all the database. You have the admin console. You will have the storage devices connected to the media server, such as tape, disk devices, and all in all, one machine will be holding everything and you'll be controlling everything from one machine. But as your infrastructure grows, you can have multiple media servers in your environment for the sake of load balancing as well as scalability. So as I mentioned in the start of the demo that there is no environment which is too big or too small to handle. So as your client grows in the environment and you think that you need more power, you can add as many as media server to the master server. So your master server, you'll be doing all the policy creation, it will holding all the catalog as well as the database, and the media server is the one which will be moving the data to and from the storage when the master server initiates that action. Now let's take a moment over here to I just want to discuss some of the disk option which is available within NetBackup. Now basic disk by definition is a standard storage volume which is presented to a media server as a target. A basic disk can be shared on a NAS device or a directly attached storage, or it can be also a SAN volume. Now from the licensing side, this is one of the cheapest option available for the client because there is no capital cost associated with this. When you buy a standard NetBackup software, the license for the basic disk automatically comes with this one. But also want to point out that there are some shortcomings with the basic disk too. For example, you cannot use the storage lifecycle policies, you cannot use the intelligent disk capacity, as well as media server load balancing option is not available with basic disk. Now prior to the introduction of storage lifecycle policy, basic disk was the only option which was available for disk staging. But from when we heard from the clients, we found out that they were not able to use the storage at the optimum level. So there are some shortcomings also, but also an option which is much more cost effective if they don't want to spend more money on options such as advanced disk or MSTP. You can use the basic disk too. But having said that, if you want to use the advanced capabilities of storage with the NetBackup, you can use advanced disk too, which I will discuss in the next slide. Now with the introduction of the advanced disk, it gives the options to pull different storage unit into one volume. So rather than treating storage unit as a separate entity, with the introduction of advanced disk, you can pull them into one storage volume. So imagine a scenario in which you have multiple media servers and you have different storage unit which are pulled in the advanced in the disk pool. With the usage of load balancing technology, you can pinpoint a specific media server. So the media server which is not busy or at idle at that time, NetBackup will use that particular media server for the purpose of backup and restore. So generally you will get more chances of successful backup and restore. So that's a great feature that you can utilize with the advanced disk. Now another good thing about the advanced disk is that you can also apply the storage lifecycle policy in conjunction with the intelligent disk capacity management too. Now another feature which is not that very commonly known with advanced disk is that you can add storage unit to advanced disk in a way that all the images that are written to the advanced disk can be encrypted too. Now in order to use the advanced disk, you need to have data protection optimization licensing, which is based on front-end terabyte, because without the option of DPO, the option to create the advanced disk will be hidden. So you need to have the DPO option to use the advanced disk. Now media server deduplication pool is the storage device which is connected to the media server. Now in case you want to do the deduplication on the media server deduplication side, you should have the host NetBackup 7.0 or later. A host can be a master, a media, or a client. Now I don't have a separate slide to showcase the global deduplication, but I also just want to take a moment over here explaining the fact that you can have the option of deduplication running at the media server level at the client, or even if you want to use a third-party appliance, and that will depend actually on case to case and what kind of environment you have. Now, talking about the client-side deduplication. Now, if you think that if you have a client which have enough resources so that it can handle the deduplication algorithms, so all the deduplication will be happening at the client side level. So you only send the dedup stream to the media server. So all the fingerprinting and everything is done at the client server level. Now this is a good case scenario in case you think that you don't have a great network connectivity between the client and the media, so you'll prefer to use the client server deduplication in that case. But if you think that the client side is already overwhelmed and you don't want to burden them to run the hash algorithms and run the deduplication engine, in that case you will do the deduplication at the media server level. So as you can see on this particular slide, the deduplication is happening at the media server level. Or even if you have a third-party appliance, you can use that too in the NetBackup infrastructure. So it's highly flexible. We offer end-to-end deduplication, whether it's a client or the media server, or even use the third-party appliance too. Now this is the breakdown of the different disk options that we have, which I detailed. So as you can see, that basic disk, you don't need any special licensing for this one. Give you the option of disk staging. If you want to use the advanced disk, you need to have the data protection optimization option, and it gives you the option of pulling different volumes into one pool, and you can use the option of load balancing. For the MSTP, if you want to use, or media server deduplication, again you need to have a data protection optimization option, and you can use the deduplication at the MSTP level, or you can have open storage or OST. For that also you need a data protection optimization licensing option, which is based on front-end terabyte. But in case you're using the capacity model, the DP option comes with that one. Now, since we have a better understanding of what are the different components which are involved in the installation of the NetBackup, let's discuss the NetBackup Appliance. Now, while discussing with the customer, what we have found is that customer wanted a standard NetBackup platform. Now, you can also create your own master and media server, but that is a very tedious process, and you're still not able to get the required performance because there are so many different options when it comes to operating system as well as hardware. The result was an integrated purpose-built backup appliance which give you standard as well as predictable performance, and we'll discuss in the coming slides. Now both NetBackup 5230 as well as 5330 is a purpose-built backup appliance which drastically ease the implementation of appliance in both new as well as the existing environment. Now it has the integrated storage built in, which has the MSTP pool, so our customer, they don't have to worry about the challenges which comes while dealing with the SAN volume or with the two-tier storage infrastructure and performance issue which can come with that one. Because we want clients to move out of the business of creating their own server and managing them, and to get into the managing backup. Now the NetBackup 5230 can be used both as a master and media server. It has an Intel Xeon.
Has left the conference.
It has an Intel Xeon 6-core processor in this, and you can have up to 128 gig of RAM. The storage shelf can be expanded up to 148 TB, but recently we have also launched the 5240 NetBackup appliance, which is not on this particular slide, and the storage shelf can be upgraded in that one up to 201 TB. It has an Intel Xeon processor in that one with DDR4 RAM with an 8-core processor on that. The NetBackup 5330 can be used as a media server only because it is the workhorse. So this is the one which is responsible for moving the data to and from the storage. So we want to give more power to this one. As you can see in the slide, it is expandable up to 229 TB. But we have also recently launched the new version of the NetBackup 5330, in which the storage shelf is expandable up to 458 TB, for almost half a petabytes you can add it with that one. It has Intel Xeon processor with 10 core in that one, with RAM up to 384 GB in that. Now with these appliances, the customer has the option with one single click. They have the option of applying Accelerator WAN optimization technology. So in case you're replicating the images between one NetBackup domain to another, it greatly improves the performance of moving the images from one location to another. So that's a great feature which is built in right in the NetBackup appliance and serve all in one purpose. So customer, they don't have to worry about the patches, don't have to worry about creating their own servers. So it's a very robust machine, keeping in mind the backup and restore. Now when it comes to handling NetBackup appliance, there are different ways that you can manage NetBackup appliance. I will show you when I have the NetBackup appliance and I will show you how you can remotely, but this is the 3 different ways that you can connect. You can do the web GUI method, so you can install a NetBackup remote client on any 64-bit operating system machine. Doesn't have to be a server configuration. It can be a Windows 7, Windows 8 machine, and you can manage your NetBackup appliance with that. If you want to get into more depth, you can also manage the appliance via the command line shell or PuTTY, which I have installed and I will show you later on. And if you want, you can also control the NetBackup through the IPMI, and if you want to power on or off the appliance, you can do that with this one. You can manage a system remotely. You can change the BIOS setting also with the IPMI too. So there are different ways you can use and control the NetBackup appliance. Now these are the different connectivity options which are available within NetBackup 5230. The standard shelf comes with the 4 1 gig, 2 10 gig and 1 IPMI connection. You have the flexibility of using 5 different connectivity. If you want, you can have up to 4 port bonded over failover, and the environment which generally uses much more or heavy for 10 gig, you can have up to 8 gig fiber channel port, which can be used for connecting the tape, deduplication, the vSphere data store, as well as the fiber transport media server too. So different connectivity option available in the 5230, and same thing is available for the 5332. So connectivity is same. We do offer the 1 gig, the 10 gig, as well as the IPMI connection. Same thing, we have 4 ports we provide for bonding over failover, and you can use up to 8 ports for connecting to tape, fiber transport, media server, as well as vSphere data store too. Now once the data has been moved to the appliance, the clients want to make sure that the data is secured, so in case they want to restore, it is protected from the hardware failure and other stuff. We have designed the NetBackup appliance keeping in redundancy in mind. Both the head unit as well as the storage shelves, they come with redundant power supply, which are hot swappable. Both the head units and the storage shelves, they have the disk drive on which the data is backed up is grade 6, so you can have up to 2 disk drive failure and still your data will be saved. These are also hot swappable too, and these machines are monitored 24/7 by Veritas home call technology too. So it's a great feature which is included with the NetBackup. So since we now have a better understanding of what are the different components which are involved in the deployment of NetBackup and how NetBackup Appliance can fit into your both existing as well as new environment, I just want to touch upon some of the important features which a lot of our clients are using and make NetBackup really unique backup and restore option. Now, NetBackup Instant Recovery for VMware is a great tool in case you want to restore your virtual machine running on the VMware platform. And a lot of clients have found success with this one. So when you're running the regular restore backup process, the normal process is that you restore the data and then you spin up the virtual machine. But with the introduction of instant recovery, what we have done is that we have reversed the process. So we spin up the virtual machine directly from the backup storage, and with the vStorage or vMotion within VMware, you can move the data, or you can move the virtual machine to the primary storage. The common question which arises then, what are the different use case scenario? Now a lot of our clients use this for in case the security and the compliance team, they want to make sure that the backup that has been done is verified. So this is a great way that you can show them that by spinning up the virtual machine that the backup that has taken place has been successful. Another use case scenario for this one can be the testing of patches. So in case you want to do the test and development rather than testing the patches on the production, which can hamper your production service, you can test that on the virtual machines, which is instantly recovered. You can also test your applications too, and it's also a great way of disaster recovery tool. So in case there is something happens on the production server, you can spin up these virtual machines and you can move to the primary storage. And we have tested this, and a lot of our customers also have tested. Virtual machine as big as 1 TB can be spun up within a few minutes only. So it's a great tool which is NetBackup has introduced. Now, auto image replication is a great way of disaster recovery within NetBackup. It is the way of moving your data from one NetBackup domain to the another, and it is totally automated by using the storage lifecycle policy. Now, prior to the introduction of the auto image replication, what needs to be done was you need to copy the image from one place to another, and in case some images are not copied, you will be having problem in restoring your clients and your servers too. But with the introduction of auto image replication, everything is automated. So as you can see in this slide, this is an example of one-to-one. So if you have a primary domain, you can apply storage lifecycle policy, and with the usage of air in that one, you can move the images to the DR site, and when you move the images, all the catalogs are also moved onto the DR site too. In order to do that, you need to have the master server at both the location with the MSDP pool created on both the sites. And in order to use this one, you need to have the data protection optimization licensing too. Now, there are other ways that also you can use. So as you can see that this has one-to-one. So if you have multiple remote sites, you can move the data from one location to multiple remote sites, or the other way around. If you have multiple remote location, you can also move the data from multiple location to one data center too. So you have one-to-one, one-to-many, or you many-to-one, depending upon what kind of backup infrastructure you have in your environment. It's very flexible that you can use the auto image replication with this. Now, another very important feature that has been added to the NetBackup 7.7 is the Accelerator technology, and we should recommend our customer to use it wherever it is possible. Now, with the Accelerator technology in place, the whole idea is that we don't want our customer to tax just to do the backup. So in your environment, as your data grows, and especially that of the unstructured data, you should not be paying tax just to do the backup for that one, and you should not be spending the resources just to scan the data and sending over the network, which can create a lot of bottlenecks and network problems in your environment. Now, with the introduction of the accelerator technology, you don't need to scan every bit of information that has been changed, which will lead to lower CPU usage as well as RAM, as well as lower disk IOPS too. So greatly reduce the load on your network bandwidth. So this is how fundamentally the NetBackup Accelerator works. So on the client side, a track log is maintained, which tracks all the changes which has taken place at the file level on the client server, which otherwise is difficult to maintain at the more granular level. And in case you have applied the client-side deduplication, it will only send the change blocks to the media server or where you can synthesize all the change blocks, and you'll get a synthetic full backup created at the media server level. Now, sometimes the common question also rises that in case you can do the full backup by using the accelerator technology at the speed of incremental backup, should not be doing full backup at all the time? The answer that I want to give to that is yes and no. So as you know that if you do the full backup, the size of the catalog is also bigger too. So if you're not concerned about the size of the catalog, yes, you can do the full backup, but we know that with the accelerator technology in place, even the incremental backups are also far more faster because it's also reduced the CPU usage as well as RAM, as well as the network bottleneck that generally happens in a normal course of action too. So again, it will depend upon what kind of policy you want to use with the NetBackup, but whether you're doing full or if you're doing the incremental, NetBackup Accelerator can be used in both the case scenario. Now, as a system admin, we know that not all the users not all the servers they are created equal. Now we have different server for different kind of purpose. So you can be having application server, file server, or a database server. Now talking about the large file server, optimal file-to-file backup may not be a great option, or maybe not an optimal option to be used. Just because of the reason that it create a lot of load on the operating system, and also if you're doing smaller file backups, it means smaller IOPS too, and you don't get the speed when you're doing full backup or even incremental backup. Now with the introduction of the flashback technology, we can greatly increase the speed of the full as well as incremental backup when we're doing the large size file backup. A lot of people, they think that you can do this by achieving raw disk dump, but it only solves the problem to a certain extent. In case you're doing the raw file dump, which I will say that any backup and restore software can do that, but in case you have to restore individual files and directory, then you have to restore the entire volume pool. And in case some of the files were open during the backup, you might not be even able to restore that. Now how about if I can, with the NetBackup flashback technology, you can do the raw device dump, and still you'll be able to restore single files and folders from the directory. And with the open file management, you can, even if the files were open during the backup, you can still be able to restore that too. And the only thing you have to do is that you have to install the client software on the server in question. You select the snapshot technology such as VSS, and you just create a flashback policy. So it's a great tool, and a lot of our customers have also found success with this one. So this is the way you can use the flashback technology. So as you can see that we do the raw device dump, and with the snapshot technology such as VSS enabled, You create a flashback policy, and you'll be able to run both full as well as incremental backup and still be able to achieve your RTOs and RPOs on that one too. Now, NetBackup 7.7 has taken the lead when it comes to cloud integration features too. As of right now, we support 4 vendors. So we have the cloud connectors with Amazon as well as Google Cloud. We also support the cloud connectivity with the AT&T Synaptic as well as Rackspace. NetBackup offers security of the data in flight as well as at rest too, and you also have the option of creating reports which you can manage via the OffCenter. In the coming releases of the NetBackup 7.7, we'll be adding more cloud vendors, so it's like a feature which we want to expand. And actually there was a Veritas vision which happened last week, and don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure that with the new release of NetBackup 7.7 we'll see the cloud connectors even for the Microsoft Azure, which a lot of clients have demanded too. Now, NetBackup OffCenter was introduced in NetBackup 7.0 with the merger of Veritas Backup Reporting as well as NetBackup Operational Manager. And since then, we have seen a lot of features which has been added to the OffCenter. So fundamentally, NetBackup 7.7 OffCenter is a reporting and a monitoring tool which you can use. So as you can see on the slide, if you're dealing with multiple domains, you can add master server to your OffCenter, which can be any 64-bit operating system machine, and from one console you can control different master server, and you can generate different report. It comes in 2 flavor. One is the standard OffCenter and the other one is the OffCenter Analytics. The difference is that the OffCenter comes with a standard license. You don't have to have a separate license for this one, but for the OffCenter Analytics you need a separate licensing, and it has features such as forecasting, trending, and you can create your own custom SQL reports for that one too. So it's a great tool. A lot of customers also use this one, and I'm sure in case you want to use this, you can either use the OffCenter, which is free with the NetBackup software, or you can use the OffCenter Analytics too. Now this brings us to the end of this presentation. If you have any question, I'll be more than happy to answer that, and we still have some time. I will also show you in the meantime how you can interact with the management console of NetBackup as well as Appliance too. Hello, Mark. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. Mark, any questions? Any questions?
No, I'm actually pretty straightforward. I just bring my attention to didn't understand how the technology. I'm familiar with Veritas, which I guess used to be a Symantec anyway.
Okay.
It was a great presentation. What I would like actually to send me that slide so I can just go through it with a lot of details actually, but just having some ideas whenever the details brought up.
Absolutely, Mark. I will send that to you for sure. The whole idea of this presentation was not, I just wanted to give you, when you go and talk to the clients, so that you have a better understanding, of how the NetBackup infrastructure is, how the architecture, and it's obviously highly scalable. So as you add more clients, you can add more media server. But if you want to start initially, if you're dealing with like a mid-size environment, you can install master and media server on one single machine too. That's the whole idea of this presentation. But yes, definitely I will send the presentation deck to you, and I will ask actually Roger to do that for you too.
Thanks a lot. It was a great presentation.
Thanks a lot, Mark. We still have a couple of minutes. Is it okay if I show you how you can interact with the management console? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What I was actually, if you on the badge, if you get a chance, go through the details, the part with the cloud section connection. Because I think really right now, most clients that we deal with,
Right.
they want to just that option be available. I want to say, are they compatible with AWS, Amazon Cloud, or you could just put that
Yep.
storage on the cloud. That part I think is more important for us.
No, absolutely, Mark. As you mentioned, a lot of people, they want to move the data to the cloud. They want to keep it. Sometime it actually depends upon the environment too, but
No,
we.
they want to have a both copy, but I just feel like they want a both copy, a physical on-premises and off-site location. I think that's if people really go through the backup with that, they want to have that flexibility. They just want to know flexibility, what's easiest to show them that whatever you want is right there. Whatever you choose, you switch whatever you want is there.
Absolutely, yeah. So as of right now, we have collaborated with 4 vendors. So we do offer the cloud connectors for Amazon. So you must have heard about the S3 options. So if you want to move the data on-prem, you can use any basic disk drive. And then if you want to move the data to the Amazon Web Services, obviously you need storage and you need an account from the Amazon site. You can do that too. You can also use the S3 connector with the Google Cloud Platform too. That's the same S3 connector you can use to move the data from on-prem to the cloud. For the AT&T and Synaptic and also Rackspace, you can, but I think you need some sort of appliance for that one, but I'll have to confirm.
You have this service with them, that'll be separate. Okay.
Right, yeah.
The Amazon and Google will be interested. Those are like, you have to have appliance and them to replicate it to the facility.
Right, absolutely. And for both of them, we do provide the cloud connectors. And other thing that you mentioned is about the Microsoft Azure. So I'm sure you're aware of that. As of right now, we don't have a cloud connector for the Azure, but last week we had a Veritas Vision which was in Vegas, and I'm pretty sure that with the we'll definitely have cloud connectors for the Azure coming, and a lot of clients, they are demanding that. And actually we are hoping to add both in the NetBackup as well as Backup Exec. So you'll see that coming in the latest release too. Yeah. Having said that, Mark, I'll just quickly, just briefly show you. Let me actually share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay, perfect. So let me remotely connect. I have a NetBackup Appliance which is 5230 in the environment, and I will show you how to connect to that one. So this is the IP of my NetBackup Appliance, and I'm connecting remotely to this. So as you can see, it says Semantic NetBackup Appliance Web Console. Yeah, and I'm just gonna input my credential in this one. So this is the web GUI interface, as you can see, and it gives you the option of from one console you can see what is the storage I'm having, how much it is used, what is the deduplication summary I'm having. It also gives me information about the hardware. Is there any hardware failure, or with the call home technology also enabled on this one. We have from one console we have like a bird eye view of what is happening on the NetBackup appliance. You can also give the admin rights to the appliance by going into setting and going into the authentication too. So as you can see, I have the option of adapters, CPU, disk, fan, network, PCI, power supply, and RAID. available on this one. Just want to point out for the operating system we have the RAID 1 enabled, which is mirrored,
Okay.
and for the other disk drive we have RAID 6, so you can have up to 2 disk failure on the place where you can where you save your data, and it is highly scalable. 5230, as I mentioned, can be used both as a master and media server, and with the latest launch of 5240, it is scalable up to 201 terabytes, so you can save a lot of data, and it's media server deduplication pool enabled, so it's deduplication engine built in. And with the WAN optimization technology, as you mentioned, you want to move the data from on-prem to the cloud. Just the WAN optimization technology can greatly enhance and experience of moving the data from on-prem to the cloud too.
The other question I have is
Yep.
about VM instance. Like, how many VM instances you can run on the appliance? So you have one server fail, you want to wait until set up, and in most backups you usually, depending on appliance, allow you to have 1, 2 servers fixed. This one is still available on this, and I remember you mentioned that you can run it from the appliance.
So are you saying managing the virtual machine?
Well, no, the VM instance means that if your server is virtualized, so you actually finish the server go down, what you do, you're running a backup from the VM that has been actually already backed up. That a backup appliance allow you to run an instance, VM instance?
Yep.
Open a VM instance and run it? Yeah, okay.
So yes, absolutely.
Up
So
to how many?
I'm not sure. I have to confirm how many number of VMs, but I don't think so there is any number for that
No,
one.
I know usually is 1 or 2, depending on the size of the appliances. Generally, you can run with 1 or 2
Right.
temporary, put into like a day,
Right.
whatever install.
Now, having said that, I also want to point out one more thing, Mark, that if you're talking about the instant recovery options of the
Yes.
NetBackup software, right now it is applicable for the VMware environment only, not for the Hyper-V.
Okay, yeah, I know. Right now, you guys only do VM.
VMware. So if your virtual machine, if you're running for some reason, and I'm sure you need to do a full backup for that one, you can instantly. So we have seen that a virtual machine up to 1 terabyte, it actually takes less than a minute, and it has been tested in the lab, and actually a lot of my clients also use it. Within under a minute, you can spin up that virtual machine, and you can move that from secondary or to the primary storage, and so that it's like a disaster recovery tool, and you will have the minimum downtime too for that one.
So right now, this appliance is only does VM only, so no Microsoft hypervisor and not even Red Hat cloud visualization. Red Hat visualization is not supported yet at this point.
No, for the instant recovery, for the timing, it's only VMware supported all.
I mean, I know you could run a backup, back them up, but for instant recovery right now is only VM.
Yeah, that's correct. But if you're talking about backing up, it can back up
You can back up any platform.
any platform. You can do the backup for that. Absolutely.
Just for instant recovery only does the VM.
That's correct.
Is this a plan to those be included down the road, or just
I'm sure, Mark, they're gonna come up, and this is like off the topic, but we launched the Backup Exec Feature Pack 5 like month and a half ago, and in that particular one, actually, we included the instant recovery both for the VMware and for the Hyper-V, for both the platform in Backup Exec. So I'm pretty sure that in the coming release,
they will be coming soon?
for sure they will be adding more platforms for that one too.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Now this is the web GUI interface that is for the NetBackup Appliance. But if you want to drill down more, we also have the option of command line shell. So you can manage your master server by using the command line shell. So I just want to quickly show you that too. So what I have done is that I have installed the command line shell or putty on this particular machine. And what I'll do is that I'm just gonna give the IP for this.
Running the 5 okay.
Yeah. So as you can see now, I am on the command line shell, and I'm just gonna give my credential. Let me just log in.
Is it a Unix based command when you're in a shell or no?
Yes. So as you can see, I'm right now in the command shell, and then I can perform. Actually, we have the full documentation available, which is available on the partner.net, and you can go through that one, and you can manage your storage. You can want to create your policy if you are the one who wants to deal with the command line shell. But we also have the GUI interface, which I'm going to show you in a moment. But just want to give you an overview that you can control everything from the command line too in this case. So this is one way of doing that one. And the other option is, let me quickly connect to another server. Now this is a remote client I'm talking about.
Yes, yes.
And this can be installed on any 64-bit operating system. Doesn't have to be a server installation. You can have it on a Windows 7, Windows 8 machine. I have another server which was lying around, so I just installed the remote client on that one. So let me quickly jump onto that.
So this looks like a desktop version of the application
Right, yeah.
for Mac.
Yep. So I'm logging into the admin console of from where it is so easy to create, because not everyone want to deal with the command line and everything.
Command shell and manage,
Yeah.
And it's easier running it from desktop. You don't have to always be on the appliance.
That's correct. Yeah. So I'm just logging into the NetBackup, and here we can see. So let me just make it full
You
screen.
get more functionality easily, yeah.
More functionality on this one. As you can see on the left side pane, you want to create your own policy. You can just go onto the policy. You can right click and create your own policy. You want to manage the storage, you can do that too. So everything is GUI interface. So it's people, you don't need to have a special training on this one. It makes
That's
it
right.
very
Yeah.
interactive too.
And
And
you have the help available, everything you need. That's perfect.
right. So as you can see, I can go into the master server. This is the appliance I'm talking about. It's acting as a master and media server, but as your organization grow, you can add more media servers. Also, you can have your clients, which will be listed in the client list over here, and you can create your own storage lifecycle policies. And creating a policy is like one click. You can right click, and you can give the policy name. You can create your own policy. And just to give you an idea, I have created one, so you can give the attributes, you can give the schedule, clients, you can specify the backup selection, what specific backups you want to do on this one, and you can run those. So very easy, everything can be controlled from this GUI interface too. Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
No problem, Mark. Pleasure. So that is what I had for this presentation,
no, thank you.
Mark.
That was very great. If you can get a chance to fire up the slide, whatever you had.
Right.
It was nice to, especially with the scalable customer ideas, and if you send that to me.
No, definitely. What I'll do is that I'll share the deck also, and we'll be in communication. Any question you have in the future, I'll be more than happy to answer that one. And it was great talking to you, Mark. Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Mark from Sports.
Has left the conference.